If you don't post it, does it still count? A month had gone by and honestly I was just dreading going back because I found somewhere quiet, creative and just a piece of my own that I was no longer willing to trade for comparison and showing up a certain way to fit in a certain box that I'd built for myself before. I was scared of not only expanding but also going back to see my own feed is like a reminder of everything it represented, almost like letting myself down for not doing what I should have been. Deleting Instagram made me realize something. Turns out I've done this whole thing before. At university, trying to restart, trying to delete and start fresh. Same pattern, same question underneath. Who are you when no one's watching? I'm not going to say that this question haunts me, but I think about it probably more than I should. When I think of this question, I think back to something that's stripped down, authentic, no pretending, no borrowed expectations, just what's actually mine, like an acoustic version of myself. Nothing extra, nothing produced, nothing performative. It helps me channel my passion, whatever that may be, back to maybe where I've forgotten it. So let me ask you, if you don't post it, does it still count? If you heal something or change something and there's no announcement, does it still feel real? If you have a funny thought and you don't share it or post it or retweet it, can you still just have the thought? If you're watching this video and all the questions are making you think, then this video might be for you. And if you think that not being with your phone is weird, then also watch this video. Anyway, here's how it actually went for me. In the first 2 weeks, it hit me hard, and not because I wanted to go back on it, but the deleting part of the app was really easy for me and it felt like relief. It felt like finally I could put my attention elsewhere. But the big thing that I noticed was that the socials are not necessarily keeping us connected. It can. But here's the thing, having access to you is not the same thing as genuine connection. If you are struggling with people pleasing and you're actively working on this one is for you. Being available to everyone all the time isn't the same as having boundaries, and your boundaries have to be strengthened. You have to know your worth before you are helping other people carry out their dreams. You have to focus a little bit more on your own first. And then another thing I questioned was whether we as people actually need to be knowing everything that everybody is doing all at the same time. Half of it is just curiosity and surveillance and comparison dressed up as connection. Are we confusing the two? And then under all of that, there is a layer of, well, if I don't post, people are not gonna know that I exist, and there is a fear of becoming irrelevant or maybe invisible. Like if you're not seen, you don't exist. Oh God. Are some friendships only alive because of Instagram? And I don't mean the ones where you just send in memes to check on that person or to be funny. We all love a good meme. But if you take away the stories and the likes and the reactions, would you actually text each other? Would you reach out to someone that you care about? Or, I mean, I actually prefer texts than phone calls, but even then it's like somebody calls you or someone texts you and you're like, what is that sound? Where is it coming from? And why is it there? It's like that Ozzy Osbourne meme.
What the fuck is that?
Anyway, it kind of makes you think who is actually there for you and who is not. It kind of makes you realize that you're waiting for someone to reach out, and then sometimes the painful truth is that not everybody will. Sometimes nobody does, which is painful, but it's exactly what you needed to see. It's a good test to see who is going to check in on you when the tables are reversed. And then I think that social media detox or any kind of detox is useless if you come back with the same mindset and you approach your account or your
social media oh my God, I can't speak.
Social media in general under the same mindset and a still unhealthy relationship to it. It was daunting for me to come back to it because of I built up this account of achievement and occasionally sharing my thoughts, but rather valuing my privacy. And eventually it turned into something that I couldn't keep up with, or perhaps that I was just growing out of it. I was expanding and I wasn't giving myself the permission to do that. So why would I even expect anyone else, to accept that growth in me? So the real work is changing your relationship to how you're being seen, or to recognition in general, and as well what you put out there and what you want to be known for. Do you want to be authentic, or do you have just an account for a particular reason? It's really important to know where you stand with it before it turns into its own thing, and then you are not necessarily doing it for yourself anymore, but you're doing it because you should. And living life from should is not gonna be enjoyable. Ask yourself, well, I was forced to ask myself, am I placing my validation into external things? What feeling is it really giving me? Like, what am I getting from it by going on it constantly? Giving yourself a pause in your automatic response is gonna help you in a massive way, give you answers to questions that you need. And then once I saw that, I couldn't unsee this next part. People are a brand nowadays, and that's totally fine. I tried to make myself a brand as well, and it just didn't work. It didn't feel right. I thought that I had to be posting across all platforms, sharing, being very strict with creating a plan or an ebook or some kind of giveaway thing, and then learning how to persuade an audience or to create something to give away, to sell. But that was not where I was at the time, but I was yet forcing a stage of my life that I wasn't yet at. I was spreading myself thin across all platforms, and honestly trying to find a niche, trying to find a singular thing that I was, which doesn't make sense because that's just not me. I'm multifaceted, and as everybody is, we are such complex beings that you can't just say, oh, I'm this one thing and I'm never going to change, especially if you are very much into transformation and a spiritual journey that will force you and push you to grow in everything, not just your passion or not just your career, in the space of like a couple years. So that's why I found it really difficult to stay in a box that I myself have built. So I noticed that everybody had a performing identity, and in a way I agree with why people do it, but at the same time I am not that. So I found it difficult to come face to face with that. But I think it goes deeper than just who is there for you and the brand thing. Does posting stop you from truly experiencing the moment? I think there's a line between documentation and presence. For me, honestly, that wasn't a problem. For example, when I take pictures of nature, I'm able to stay present and I don't post that to social media as much to get that validation. But I think when it comes to us as people and maybe the way that we look or what we do, that is to maybe in a sense celebrate that with other people, but also we want to keep up the highlight reel. But I'm glad that I love documenting those kinds of things and being creative, but I've always had the presence to soak in that moment too. That leads me to the next point of saying being bored is not something to solve. This sounds small, but in fact it was probably my biggest section of learning. Reason being is that creativity is born from stillness, sometimes chaos, sometimes the unknown. And when you hoard that moment, that silent moment, and you override it with overstimulation, you're not able to follow through with the idea, never mind of thinking of a good idea. Because silence is where creativity is born, and the commitment to carry out those ideas is in exploring those things is encouraged. We often hear that in the silence you can not only learn a lot, but also to explore connections of creativity that you didn't see before. So this was a big point in the journey of no Instagram, where I wasn't leaking my energy over all the things that didn't matter to me, but really focusing on one thing, to take back my energy and to turn it into something. Just one thing, no constant stimulation, and actually following through beginning, middle to end. I thought that to make a name for myself, I had to post on all platforms to put my face out there. When at the time I realized I didn't have anything to put out there yet, and I was forcing something that wasn't meant to be, then left feeling, unworthy and unseen when I was approaching it in completely the wrong way. It turns out that if you intentionally focus your energy into something, you end up in the thick of the craft, which is where all the gold and the diamonds are what's the word? Taken out. And actually enjoying the improvement of a process. I think that's when you know that you're onto something. And then I think when you're in the midst of this process, you actually want to get deeper into some of the layers. So I started, I've been doing journaling my whole entire spiritual journey and normal life, really. But it helped me also to explore my relationship with recognition and be invisible without making visibility the entire source of my worth. And so day to day boredom would look like maybe watching something I enjoy or doing something that I need to do, and a thought would come up. I would go and write it down before I forgot, follow that curiosity, Google that thing, draw that picture. I'm not good at drawing, but I'm just saying that as an example. But not filling that space with productivity because you feel like you should be doing something, but to know that something is unfolding and you're allowed to follow your curiosity. And what it made me notice that I did in the previous video is the more that I tended to those ideas, and I called them plants, right? The more the process got more accurate in me investigating those ideas, putting them together, seeing them form into something that I didn't really see at the end, but then also seeing that vision very clear at the beginning in my mind and having thoughts of what exactly to do in a certain line of process to complete that idea. I used to be at school and I used to be so embarrassed about writing and being creative, and then from that experience I told myself I am not creative, I am not going to share my ideas, not going to share my thoughts ever again. And I think a full circle is coming around to the opening of what I thought wasn't there for me, and I found it in pieces of silence, of moments of silence and discovery. I think if I am honest with myself, and we are all honest, we will realize that it was never really about the apps, and maybe this is something that our generation avoids the most, but it's what is that scrolling actually covering up? Is it significance? Is it loneliness? Are you looking for expression, making an impact? Are you looking to be seen for your work? Are you wanting to make something? And I used to push back a lot on people who said, social media can make your mental health worse. Whilst I partially agree with that, I think that the apps don't cause the problem necessarily, but they expose it and sometimes emphasize the problem. There's a massive gray area, but at the end of the day, it's on you. It's the human who is using it. We are essentially, as woo-woo as it sounds, we are the creators, and you've heard it multiple times. If you're in psychology and you're in physics, we are the creators of our actions and our lives. You have to have the agency in yourself to need to know whether you want to delete it or not, and I mean social media. So delete it or don't delete it, either way things are gonna be exposed, whether that is your mental health, your lack of something, or your insecurities. Something will be exposed. And so here is where I landed. What if deleting social media isn't the goal? Maybe the real goal is reaching a point where keeping it and deleting it both feel like choices. If you want to keep social media because you genuinely enjoy the sharing of knowledge and your own life, fine. If you delete it because your life feels better without it, fine. But if you desperately want to leave and you've repeatedly come back to it and find yourself right back there, that's when the question of choice gets interesting. Thank you for watching the video. I hope you found it thought-provoking. Let me know what you think of social media and whether you have gone with months or years without it. I would love to know. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.